think Nintendo, you probably think Mario, or maybe Zelda. Or if you have really good taste, maybe Metroid. The point is, you probably don't think Kirby, and that's a real shame because over the last few years, this painfully adorable platforming franchise has gone through a kind of resurgence thanks to some new ideas and some fresh, innovative thinking. There was Kirby Canvas Curse, which is still one of the most effective uses of touch on the Nintendo DS. There was Kirby's Epic Yarn, a title that merged gameplay and graphics like very few games ever have. There's a new Kirby on the way, there's a rumored Epic Yarn sequel slated for the Wii U. Kirby's dining like a champ these days, but this was his first course. It's the one and only Kirby's Dream Land. And this game is delicious! Released exclusively for the original Game Boy in 1992, Kirby's Dream Land is kind of a huge deal as Game Boy games go. It was designed by Masahiro Sakurai, a young developer who has since made quite a name for himself. He's the guy behind Super Smash Bros. And Kid Icarus Uprising, and of course the creator of Nintendo's most pleasant pink puffball. Or is he white? These are questions that confused even Nintendo of America when Dreamland released. Fun fact, although Kirby was intended to be pink, he appears ghostly white on the North American cover of Dreamland. And to be fair, I mean, black and white graphics can be pretty confusing. I mean, that doesn't look pink to me either. So obviously, Kirby's Dream Land is a 2D platform game, a pretty common genre for games released prior to the 3D revolution. What's interesting is that because there were so many games like this, for their characters to stand out and be distinct, the gameplay had to be interesting. There had to be some kind of new twist to make a game like Kirby feel different from a game like Mario. Of course, we know Kirby's unique gameplay mechanics quite well today, but again, what's interesting about Dreamland is that as the very first Kirby title, some of those ideas weren't yet realized. So the ability to swallow enemies and copy their abilities, for example, that's something Kirby couldn't do in this debut. Now, Kirby games have never been known for their complexity, but without the copy ability, Dreamland does feel a bit simple, even for a Kirby game. Now, to be fair though, it's only in the light of subsequent games that this feels like a flaw, and fortunately, most of the other things you associate with Kirby are intact in this first trip through Dreamland. You can inhale enemies and spit them out like regurgitated stinger missiles, you can hover like a balloon, the familiar enemies, the familiar settings. Dreamland really set the tone for what would become one of Nintendo's best and biggest franchises. Another thing that was common of early Kirby games in particular is the way they pushed their hardware. This game looks fantastic on the old Game Boy hardware. There's this kind of surreal quality to Kirby's design and his world, and even though they're black and white, these graphics and sprites convey that incredibly well. And we've picked just a few of the console's most important and significant titles to go over for Game Boy Week, and none of them are more so than this one. It does feel a bit simple compared to the games that would follow it, but it still plays very well. It has an undeniably important place in Nintendo history as the game that introduced us to Kirby, and it has all the polish you'd expect from a key Nintendo franchise. It's Kirby's Dream Land, a Game Boy game that, despite what you see on the screen, you won't want to spit up.